And good morning and welcome to Wild Jokers here on 24/7 Comedy Radio for Phoenix, Funny 1260, 96.1 FM. I'm Len, he's Brad, broadcasting live from the Orangutan Home Service Studios here in beautiful Tempe, Arizona. Good morning, Brad. How are you?
Good morning, Lynn. I'm doing wonderful today.
You know, I must say, coming in to the Orangutan Home Service Studios is always a treat because we actually, it's a palatial studio, as I like to call it, with the couches, and we have our radio set up, big screen TV, sound system. All the bells and whistles. They definitely
we got microwave, refrigerator, coffee maker.
We're totally stocked here.
Right, and fully stocked bar.
Well, yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be starting that early in the morning. You know, it is 9 a.m. or so.
Well, they do have evening meetings here, you know.
Well, no, of course,
right.
And that's a good way to do business right then and there. It was funny, though, just cruising into the studio and everything. There is just so many different things that I have noticed that are, sort of like cell phones and how technology has expanded. You know, back in the old days, I didn't either have a phone. I had a beeper and a pager.
Love beepers. You know, I saw a segment on TV the other day. They were talking about beeper codes.
Right.
Do you know those, like, you know what 143 meant on a beeper?
I don't know what 143 meant, no.
That's what your girlfriend would send you saying, I'm meaning I love you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I remember you could do hello upside down.
I'm not even, we're talking way more sophisticated than hello and boobless.
You remember that one too. That's fantastic. Yeah, but that's the one thing with the technology. And what I'm talking about here is just cruising in to the studio. And have you ever noticed, though, there's so many more diversions, and everybody's talking about texting and driving and that danger and everything. If you noticed, slowly but surely, it is getting more dangerous and more dangerous and more dangerous because it was the pager before. You just glance at it and you're done. Then after that, because I borrowed my mom's Jeep, okay, and then they used to have the cell phones that were actually attached,
right,
mounted.
The mounted cell
phones.
Well,
if you got carjacked, you could actually beat somebody up with it because it was like a club.
Yeah, right.
Seriously, it literally is that. And
yep.
But that's more of a diversion than your pager, and then going forward, then the cell phone, the flip phone technology, where it was just
the brick came first.
Well, the brick came first,
right.
And then you had the more mobile technology
right.
where you just pick the phone up.
Right.
Then from there, texting became the rage, and now we're dealing with all that. But there is one other thing that I've discovered now that I have a girlfriend that actually has a newer vehicle, and it's not an old ranch truck that I have from like 1989. I actually have new technology that's around because I cruise around once in a while in her vehicle.
Right.
It's this thing called OnStar. This is amazing. Unbelievable. I've just discovered this. You push a button and
that's pretty sad, Len. OnStar's been around for like 15 years.
Really?
Yeah, it's for a long
time.
No
way.
Yeah, a long time.
Honestly.
At least 10. At least 10 years.
I was coming to the studio, dropped my girlfriend off. And then I got lonely, so I hit the OnStar button. I had a full conversation, and I was totally diverted. And I think talking to the OnStar people is a little dangerous in itself. But all of a sudden, if you want an immediate friend, hit OnStar.
Fair enough.
I mean, don't you think that? I mean, it's something that you can ask anybody. I've never been around this kind of technology before, but with all the devices, your radio systems are high tech and got a bunch of buttons. They have DVD players in vehicles now. I don't think you should be driving watching.
Well,
DVDs
actually,
personally.
you know what I actually thought you were going to say, Len, is that you were going to say surfing the internet. Because that's what a lot of people are doing. They're checking Facebook on their phone while they're driving.
Well,
I'm more worried about that than the people calling the OnStar.
What's more dangerous to you? Internet and playing on the phone, texting on the phone, or playing on OnStar?
I'm going to say it's a tie between internet and texting.
Because OnStar...
OnStar, it's like having another person in the car.
Well, but what's weird about it is this. If you're familiar with OnStar, you get your directions, and all of a sudden then they control it into the vehicle, which is bizarre in itself.
It's a little Big Brother-ish.
It really is if you think about the technology. But then all of a sudden when I'm driving around, because this is new, remember, this is all shocking, all of a sudden her go, bing! I thought the actually no cigarette light and the airplane turned on. I really thought put your seatbelts on.
Right.
I felt like I was in an aircraft at that point in time. Why is this car making these noises? I feel like I'm on a plane. It's just totally different. And that was actually my ride coming into work today. I was just totally all over the place because the phone's ringing. I got OnStar talking at me. I have all these buttons to push. Honestly, vehicles nowadays, it's like controlling a nuclear silo.
Well, you know,
it really is it's
funny.
place.
It's funny that you're talking about the ride in because, I came from a little bit further away than you did to get here. And literally the traffic was so obnoxious, I can't even tell you. So the funny thing was I turned on the station, and of course I thought to myself, this is a really good road rage reducer. and
But
I'm thinking,
OnStar, you can
yeah,
talk to somebody?
well, no, I'm talking about the Comedy Channel, our station.
Oh, our station. I think
because
you're talking about
here
OnStar.
I am listening to 96.1. I'm driving in and I'm listening to Craig Ferguson. I'm listening to some of the other guys, and I'm literally laughing out loud. And normally, when you're sitting in traffic in this town, you got at least 2 or 3 people around you yelling and screaming, pounding on their steering wheel. And I'll admit, occasionally I get a little bit crazy, yell and scream, not overly road rage. But the bottom line was, I thought to myself, wow, I actually laughed multiple times on this ride. And any other time, given any other day, it would not have been as exciting.
No, I mean, but sitting around that also, though, going back to where I was talking about OnStar and your mobile devices and all this technology, it's you can get diverted in traffic. You can sit there and pass.
Let me tell you
time.
something. People get diverted just from being people. I mean, I saw a thing yesterday on the news. They were talking about this company's got this new technology that keeps you awake, warns you when you're falling asleep in your car, and then warns you to pull over.
When is it too much?
That's, I don't know where it ever really stops, but at the end of the day, they're trying to, I hate to put it like this, but they're trying to legislate safety and everything. And unfortunately, you're always going to have people that get in a car and drive when they're too tired. They said if you're on, I forgot what the lack of sleep number was, but they said basically if you only get X number of hours of sleep, it's like having had 3 cocktails.
Really?
Yeah, something crazy like that.
Well, I mean, and we got to segue because we got to talk about all the cool stuff we got to give away, and also what we got coming up here in segment 2 and 3 here on Wild Jokers here on 24/7 Comedy Radio for Phoenix here on Funny 1260 96.1 FM. But the worst diversion back in the day, even before the pager, was in the old days, the only thing that would get in your way is having a little hanky-panky with the girlfriend. That was the only diversion back in the day. I was going to say driving by a girl in a bikini top. So, yeah, we were on the same page. That was the only thing that would actually kind of divert me when I was a young man growing up and just driving around in my old F-150 1981 pickup truck back in the old days.
Yeah, the worst thing you would have done is a rubberneck. And that's it. Now it's like that's the least of your worries.
Yeah, so that's the bottom line. It's just got out of control. But OnStar, I must admit, when you are lonely, they are friendly.
Fair enough.
I think that's it.
We got to start. We should build them for a spot or something.
Yeah, they really should. But it's just new technology.
Right.
Anyways, hey, we want to hook you up. We have Renaissance Festival tickets we're going to be giving away.
Huzzah!
I'm excited about that. We got a lot of them, so we can hook you up. I mean, it goes on for a month, so we have a lot to play with there. But February 28th, Carlos Mencia coming to Wild Horse Pass.
Gotta love that guy.
And I'm excited about that. And then in the distant future, in March, late March, March 28th.
That's not that distant.
Well, March. That's like 2 months off.
Yeah,
almost
not really.
2 months.
It's a month and a half.
Ron White. I'm excited about that.
Ron White, he's awesome.
I'm very excited about that. And also coming up here on the Wild Jokers, this is something very exciting. We did catch up. We didn't get to catch him live here on the air in the studio, but we're actually going to catch up with Larry the Cable Guy.
Yeah, that's should be interesting for the folks out there.
Well, he's just a great guy, and he's so busy. We actually had to catch him on the road just very briefly. He went from Phoenix when he was actually a talking stick here all the way to Canada. He was like in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, or Winnipeg, Manitoba. Right. How do you go from Vegas to Phoenix to
the land of the ice and
then
snow?
You're in Winnipeg. I'm like, oh, that has just got to hurt.
Normally things from Winnipeg come here.
Well, right. Well, like hockey teams.
That's where I was going with that.
That is completely correct.
Right.
So we're going to be catching up with him. Also, Jordy from, of course, Orangutan Home Services. If it wasn't for him, hey, we wouldn't have this palatial, how should I put it, studio we're sitting in to broadcast to you.
Yep.
So that's the big thing, the beat on the street. You had a story coming in. This is one thing about I have my girlfriend Michelle, of course, but Brad has turned into like my work partner. Is that kind of maybe a PC way of saying it?
I guess you could say that.
It's we have our own sort of relationship where probably a day we're talking to each other about 12 to 14 times a day.
At least.
So you called me on the freeway and you came up with you said, I got to tell you about something. It's just something that's just on my mind.
It wasn't really that exciting. I was just thinking for some reason. I called you to ask you what your middle name was. What's your middle name, Lynn?
My middle name's Arthur, and it's named after my mom's dad.
Okay, well, see, unfortunately, your mom's dad's name should have been like Eli or something like that. Because
why?
I'll tell you, because then your initials and your name could have been the same. Think about that for a second.
Okay.
Len. Leonard, Eli, Novin,
okay.
and your initials would be Len, and your name would be Len. I know it's not that exciting, but for some reason,
Why were you thinking about that?
I just, I'm a strange guy. I think about strange things.
Well,
like
you were
that.
sitting in traffic, and this is the
That's
moral of the
my
story.
point.
You did not have OnStar to talk to. You're thinking too much.
It was before I turned on the Comedy Channel. That's exactly what it was. I had sat in my car and I was fumbling around and I was driving and I realized it was too quiet, and I guess, then I turned on the Comedy Channel after I realized I'm thinking about your middle name.
Well, right.
That's not good.
Well, last week here on Wild Jokers, what we did is actually we had a great segment on comparing and contrasting late night talk show hosts. And this week, what I want to do, because we always are debating on why did, like last week, we did Carson's going to be the king no matter what. He's always going to be, John, even from in the past, for the youngsters, I always say to people, go look at the DVDs. I have the DVD set so you can still see his antics. What a great, the writers he had, the whole crew, Ed McMahon, Doc, Tommy Newsom, all the guys that were a part of that whole act were so fantastic, and they all had their piece of the puzzle, and it lasted forever. But what I want to do this week, because we said the failures, the Arsenio's, the Chevy Chases, the Magic Johnsons, I want to talk about, actually, since we're just going to be talking to Larry the Cable Guy here in segment number 2 of Wild Jokers here on 24/7 Comedy for Phoenix, Funny 1260, 96.1 FM.
That's why Bill says you're ADD, because you're all over the place. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, I wanted to go back. I'm setting it up is what I'm doing. Our GM,
okay. It works.
Our GM's
It works.
coined me as ADD, but no, I'm locking in. There's a reason I'm telling that story to tell this. We love to compare and contrast, but now it's blue collar. We got Ron White coming up March 28th. We're talking to Larry in this show. Of the 4, I always have a pecking order, because when they all
the blue collar guys.
The blue collar guys,
right.
yeah, because of course
guys.
you have Jeff Foxworthy,
Right.
he's kind of the Yoda of the group. He's the one who's brought it all together.
I would give you that. He's the Yoda.
Larry the Cable Guy,
Right.
Ron White, and Bill Engvall.
Right.
Now, they've all done different things. Of course, if you remember, Jeff Foxworthy and Bill Engvall actually had the TV show together, and he
Right.
brought Bill in and the whole bit, and they were
Right.
buddies. They did the Blue Collar show where it was Foxworthy, Engvall, and Larry the Cable Guy, and Ron White would make some guest appearances, but he was doing his own deal.
Right.
But it was like when I was talking, this was years ago when I saw the first Blue Collar to my ex.
Did you take a breath yet?
No.
Okay.
Who is your favorite of the 4? Because we went to see it in the theater, and at that time we knew Engvall and Foxworthy. But Larry the Cable Guy was new to us, and Ron White was new to us. And I totally flipped everybody, where I thought Ron White was my favorite. Larry the Cable Guy was 2. Foxworthy was 3, and Engvall was last. Where when walking in, before I even saw the show, I was like, okay, it's Foxworthy, Engvall, Ron White, because I knew some of his shtick, and I don't know who this Larry the Cable Guy is. That was me walking in versus walking out.
That's interesting that you would say that, because it's funny, because I have seen the 4 of them perform, of course. And I'll tell you what, Engvall kind of surprised me. He was a lot funnier than I expected him to be. But I probably would say the one that made me laugh the most is Larry the Cable Guy.
Right.
It's just, his shtick is just, on fire. He's just so funny. And he doesn't really talk about much. He kind of talks about nothing, which is even funnier. Ron White has good stories. He has real good stories.
Well, the tater salad story.
Tater salad.
The right to remain silent.
Right. He's definitely got some good stuff. But I just feel like Larry just takes it like a little piece of air puff of nothing and turns it into something really funny. That's just my opinion.
The one thing when you evaluate each of their styles, they're different in some ways, quite a bit. Larry versus Ron White are like night and day in their way, because Ron White with the shtick with the cigar and the scotch, he's really smooth.
He's
got
more like an old school comedian, like Henny Youngman style.
He's got the George Burns thing going.
That's right, George Burns, that kind of era.
He's got that tool,
right?
And he goes, the sip of the scotch or going for the puff of the cigar. It's a great breaker, especially when people are just laughing their what off. It's just that pause, and I think a lot of comedians that have that clever pause and that delivery, and that's what it's all about, and that style. That's why he power ranked number 1 for me of the 4. And Larry the Cable Guy, because he was so different. I never heard, what's Gator done? That was all new to me.
So you're all about the dramatic pause.
I like that. Yeah. I think that's the old school. But then I go new school to Larry the Cable Guy with the Gator done.
He says punch.
Yeah.
Nonstop.
And the reason why Foxworthy in my power ranking would have dropped is based on the fact I knew his shtick. And I thought
what
great.
else, though? I'll tell you the difference with Foxworthy. Foxworthy's setups are a lot longer. When he tells a story, he goes into like a 5-minute story before you really get to the real funny part. Larry the Cable Guy, you're laughing the third sentence.
And I think it's unfortunate. I ranked Engvall 4th. Maybe there has to be a 4th. I think all of them are fantastic, but it's just funny how my mind switched from walking into the theater, Blue Collar One, to walking out, and it totally changed my perspective on these comedians.
Okay, well, here's something you probably would never hear described as this tour. I would say that Ingvall's got the most intellectual humor of the four of them.
With the fish with the corn dog in the water. Right.
Oh, it's a corn dog. Oh, what's a corn dog doing here in the ocean?
You know the corn dog
the
story
corn dog
is going to come out
best.
first. Of course.
Yeah, right.
But that's I think we both agree. What's your power ranking,
But
Brett?
you know what the corn dog was, though? That was for the dorkfish.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's a dorkfish?
What's a dorkfish?
That's too funny.
But that is really funny.
But before we actually have to take a break and everything, what is your power ranking of the four Blue Collar comedians? What was it before Blue Collar One versus Blue Collar after Blue Collar One?
I would say I was kind of with you. I was probably like Jeff Foxworthy. I thought was the funniest. You know,
he was the standard.
Ron White was probably my second because I'd seen him a little bit. Larry the Cable Guy was probably third because I thought he was a little too hokey at first. Mm-hmm. And Bill Engvall I really hadn't seen much. I'd say now I probably would say Larry's probably the funniest to me. I'd say Bill and Ron are tied for second. And okay. I put the Yoda Jeff at the bottom only because I think his style is just a little bit slower than the pace I like. And that's part of the whole backwoods country, take your time kind of thing he's got going. And maybe I'm just too much of a city slicker.
You're a mixture of both. You're a little bit of country and a little bit of rock and roll. I'll give you that. You're balanced enough to hang out with me, who's always in a flannel. So
yeah, right. And I can hang out at the farm. Doesn't bother me.
Well, you go to the farm. You're diverse. That's why I keep you aboard.
Yeah, right. Keep telling yourself that.
Hey,
at least we didn't get canceled from last week.
No, we actually did good.
I was going to, I thought about that when we opened the show. I'm like, hey, we're still here.
Well, it's sort of like the Gong Show. Somebody comes out with a hook and just pulls us away.
Well, the truth is we're holding the station manager's pets hostage. And so that's horrible.
Forgive us, Bill. I'm sorry about that. But hey, speaking of our great GM who actually has been hooking us up to hook you up, more so than anything, we want to give you a pair of Renaissance tickets right now. If you want to go, and these are valued, $22 or what?
$22 a piece.
A piece. So that's a nice little giveaway. Something that, you and a friend, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, can go out and have a big turkey leg and have a good time, which the Renaissance Festival in the East Valley has been a landmark out here forever and ever and ever and ever.
As long as I can remember.
Well, caller number 2 right now here to Wild Jokers Radio. We'll hook you up at 602-303-5869. Caller number 2 right now at 602-303-5869. I want to hook you up to a pair of tickets to the Renaissance Festival. We're going to take our first break here on the Wild Jokers. On the other side, we're going to be catching up with Larry the Cable Guy. Don't go anywhere. You listen to 24/7 Comedy Radio for Phoenix on Funny 1260, 96.1 FM.
Hey guys, this is Stacy Grandal, aka Boss Lady, coming at you from the Man Spot here in Old Town Scottsdale, where men stay men and women are allowed. Yes, I said allowed. This is a place created for guys. So come kick off Valentine's Day with us. Just kidding, I meant Blue Ball Month. Mention Blue Ball specials and Wild Jokers. Give us a call, 480-686-8538, and do check out our menu because it's full of laughs. SimplicitySimpleSkincare.com. Again, 480-686-8538, and stay manly, man.
And it's Orangutan Home Services, featuring heating, air conditioning, home security, plumbing, and much, much more. Call them today, 602-906-0111. Orangutan Home Services, 602-906-0111. Call us today. Autobahn Mortgage, 602-980-LOAN. That's 602-980-5626. Call Autobahn Mortgage for all your commercial and residential mortgage needs. We are friendly, fast, and efficient. 602-980-LOAN. You can also see us on the internet, www.autobahnmortgage.com. Call us today, 602-980-LOAN, 602-980-5626.
Okay, so here we are today at Orangutan Home Services, and we have one of their all-star technicians in the studio today. Joe is here, and he's going to tell us a little bit about Orangutan Home Studios and a little bit about some of his experiences. So how you doing, Joe?
Oh, I'm doing well. How about yourself?
You know, I can't complain too much. We always like coming down here and doing recording. It's always a very colorful environment. So let me ask you, so how long have you been working here?
I've been here in March of this year. It'll be my 18th year here.
Wow, only 18 years. That's that's impressive. Very nice. Well, obviously you must like working here if you've been here that long.
Well, they're a great company. They take care of their employees, and most importantly, they take care of the customer. You know, when we deal with a company that has premier customer service, you stick around for a while. So it's a great place to work.
Well, that really says a lot. When it's real interesting when companies have good service. Normally, it starts at home, as I like to say. If you're not taking care of the people that are out there giving the service, why are you going to end up expecting anything better? So that's always good news to hear. So I'm curious. I know you've been doing this for 18 years. What's one of the most interesting calls that you've been out on?
It's hard to say because you do get quite a few of them. However, it's the customer that has that 20-year-old, 15-year-old air conditioning and heating system, and they just let it keep chugging along. I understand that if it's not broke, don't fix it. However, in a roundabout way, you guys are paying for it in the long run on your electric bills. So, those calls that the customers are beating these old units into the ground are great because you can educate them, and you can let them know what's going on and how they're paying for it in a roundabout fashion.
So basically, if I understand what you're saying, it's the more interesting people are the ones that are trying to band-aid and piecemeal the units together, and they figure they'd rather have you come out 12 times a year than actually do it the right way.
Exactly. Those are always fun.
So what do you recommend to people like that?
Something like that, people are set in their ways sometimes, just try to do some research and do some things and check out, what you're actually paying for, because, you're going to pay the same amount maybe, but you're going to, distribute it to the electric company and your creditor rather than all to the electric company. So it won't actually cost you a lot more money a month. You're just going to send your money into different places.
So it's pay now or pay later, but you're going to pay.
Exactly. And you'll pay a lot more later than you will now.
Fair enough. Well, you can reach the guys and girls at Orangutan Home Services, 602-906-0111. Once again, 602-906-0111. Joe, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. I'm sure we'll have you on again.
Thank you, sir. Have a great day.
Welcome back to Wild Jokers here on 24/7 Comedy Radio for Phoenix, Funny 1260, 96.1 FM. I'm Len, he's Brad, and just so excited. We're going to be catching up here in the next segment with Larry the Cable Guy, who's actually touring all over the country. Just actually was in the Valley of the Sun, Vegas and Phoenix, and now he's, I don't know what his booking agent's doing, but he's all the way up in Winnipeg, Manitoba now. But fortunately, between, I think, maybe the travel time between Phoenix and Winnipeg, Manitoba, he had a little time to catch up with us, so we do have some recorded sound from him, which we're really excited.
A blurb or two.
Well, as I said, we caught him, and he put a donut hole in his schedule for us, which is very unique right now, considering it's like the busiest man in comedy.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. But
between his charities and everything else he's doing.
Which is really awesome. Yeah. And also, one other thing we got to get to, we're going to have a lot of great contests. We're going to fill you in about, if you're an aspiring stand-up comedian, we've got the thing for you. We're going to have all the details coming up. Actually, we're going to do the next segment. But leading into that, there's a reason why we're doing this. Our dear friend now, Tony, which our fearless leader, Bill Pettis, the general manager of 24/7 Comedy for Phoenix, Funny 1260, 96.1 FM, set us up. I didn't even know this until recent times there was comedy schools. And Tony, who's actually from my old backyard, the San Fernando Valley in Southern California, I'm from Northridge, California. You're from Chatsworth, California.
Yes, I am.
And it's just kind of funny how we connected. And all of a sudden, we just started chatting on the phone, and it was like we're old friends.
Can I tell you a funny story real quick?
Absolutely, please, jump in.
I lived in Chatsworth, California for years. I know there's some guys out there that know what Chatsworth are because they've had DVDs sent to their homes that are shipped from Chatsworth.
That's funny.
And generally, you have to be 18 or older to have these videos, correct?
So I got audited
Right.
by the IRS one year.
Oh, no.
And I went to my accountant and I said, "Why are they auditing me?" And he goes, "Well, let's look at the top of your form here, and it says." What does it say you live? I go, Chatsworth, California. It says, what do you do for a living? I says, I put entertainer consultant. He goes, they think you're in the porn business.
Oh, that's great.
Well,
that's
this
priceless.
is something simply fantastic because my dad had a business in Chatsworth, California. And he actually did electronic semiconductors, which are for computers, aircraft, and things of that nature. But in the same complex, there was mass distribution of adult entertainment.
Yes, there is.
It was like on every corner. Now, mind you, I was like 14, 15, 16 years old, walking a golden retriever, poking my nose into the distribution places, going, I'm a kid in a candy store.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that was a wonderful thing about the San Fernando
Which is
Valley.
why you're
Zone.
a diabetic today.
Oh, exactly. That's why you look at either Chatsworth, California, or you'll see Van Nuys, California. Those
Well,
are your two.
if you watch a lot of television or movies, I mean, we lived on what was the old Irving Movie Ranch,
Right.
And hundreds of old westerns were filmed there. And 24 was filmed in Chatsworth. They had built their studios in Chatsworth, right at the bottom of Topanga Canyon, and every episode of 24 was filmed in Chatsworth. And my daughter and I moved where I lived was in the country, way up in the hills.
Right.
And I tell friends of mine, I go, I moved to Chatsworth to raise my kid. They go, are you crazy?
Yeah.
Do it. And I go, well, it's horse country. They go, that's worse. So I don't even want to. But
See, it was the best balance because a lot of people, like my co-host here, Mr. Brad Manhoff, was wondering, well, how'd you get into horses? Where did this come from? You're a kid from L.A. I said, no, if you
Well, you're
lived
not
in
really from LA.
well, if
that's
you're
why.
818 and
You
lived in the
say
valley,
you say LA, but you're really not from
I'm in LA
LA.
We're
County.
only 20 minutes from Hollywood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
You're only 20 minutes from anything.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, and if you live in Chatsworth, you don't have to go to Hollywood.
You got enough entertainment. Yeah, right.
There's plenty of entertainment.
We would watch 24 that was all filmed in Chatsworth, sometimes right out in front of our condo. And we'd watch it and you'd hear Jack Bauer go, Chloe, I'll be downtown in 20 minutes. And we go, no, you're not. It's going to take 2 hours to get to downtown.
yeah, if you're taking the anywhere or over the hill, either the 5 or the 405, it's going to take you a little time.
Oh, you got to go to
45 minutes.
first. We've now lost your entire audience once I mentioned the
I
118.
know, I
Yeah,
know.
no.
Well, we do actually have a contingency from Southern California and my family that does listen because you can listen to us on the web as well.
Well, can I mention this? Okay, so I know that this is going to be a good mix.
Sure.
All of us working together because I walk into your studio. First off, I know I'm walking into radio, and there's actually cash sitting on the table. You just don't see that in radio anymore. But there's a $5 bill rolled up sitting on your table, and you guys were just talking away, and I go, yeah, this is going to work.
For what it's worth, it's not our office.
No, this
We
is,
are guests
this is
here.
not our lounge. We're
We are
actually
guests here.
I haven't seen a rolled up $5 bill like that since I watched a Johnny Depp movie called Blow a few weeks
Yeah,
ago.
right.
Well, considering I only have change coins on me, obviously that's more expensive than I'm worth. I'm the struggling radio guy.
You
so.
know that movie, the Johnny Depp movie, in the beginning of the movie when they have the banker boxes full of money?
Yeah.
And he's walking through. He's like, I don't know where I'm going to put this. And it's like each one of those boxes has $3.5 million, and they do it by weight.
Yeah.
They just throw it on a scale. It's about 3.5. That's unbelievable.
See, that's unbelievable
Yeah.
stuff.
The good old days.
Well, so talking about the good old days. Now switching gears, going forward here, you left Southern California. What brought you? Was the visionary of the comedy scene kind of starting to kick here a little bit? The backbone of it. What was the reason you came out to Arizona from?
Phoenix is going through. My first paid professional gig was in 1986 here in Phoenix. I was doing open mic nights at the Laugh Factory on Sunset, and another comic said, I want to hire you as my opening act, and there was an old club called Finny Bones. So my first paid professional gig was here in Phoenix. So over the years, there were always clubs in Phoenix. So if you lived in LA, you were coming over here and doing
It
shows.
makes sense, yeah.
And I became good friends with a club owner of a large club in this town, and I was kind of switching gears. I'd owned a club and had a booking agency, was touring all at the same time. It kind of burnt out, was looking for something else to do, and I was approached by an owner of a club here who said, why don't you teach a workshop here and we'll support it. And there was no local comedy scene in this town. There were a couple of guys doing a couple of things, and I know those guys, but there was no local comedy scene.
Right.
And I started flying here 2 days a week from LA, like commuting, and doing a workshop at that club, and it blew up. And it just blew up where all of a sudden there were like 40 or 50 people in the workshop. We're doing huge shows at that club. And I'm not going to say they gave birth to local comedy because a lot of other people then started doing their own independent stuff. But that kind of kicked it off. And now this city, if you like comedy, if you want to go out and you go, I'm tired of just going to a restaurant. I'm tired of just going to a bar. I'm tired of going and seeing local music. And there's great local music here. But I want to go see comedy. I think this is probably the best city in America to be able to see live comedy of up-and-comers, eclectic people. There are more shows at more clubs with more diverse comics than anywhere outside of New York, and probably even more than there is in Los Angeles, because in Los Angeles, everybody's writing their jokes to the post. They're all
Right.
trying to get on television, so they're all writing to be on television, where these guys and girls are just being funny.
Well, and
They're just
also
being
one other
funny.
thing I've noticed just within the entertainment market, it has shifted to Las Vegas and into Phoenix, Arizona in a lot of ways, a lot of Scottsdale.
Yeah, we used
in
to be the
particular.
Thursday stop for everybody's play on the weekend in L.A. It
Yeah,
doesn't seem
now
like
we're
that
starting to get a
anymore.
little bit more of that. It just seems that more is coming this direction. I don't know exactly why. I came actually, one of the main reasons is you could actually afford to get a house. I
helps.
wasn't going to live in a box.
How I ended up living it, because I commuted commuted for years. And how I ended up living here full time was in 2006. Everybody was buying a house. Everybody.
Right.
There were no homeless people.
Boomtown.
Because if you were homeless, they just kind of shoved you in a house when signed this, you now own a home. But I'm homeless. You're not. What do I? So as an investment, I bought a house in 2006.
Okay.
Which was
Good timing.
Yeah, great timing. I bought a house in a town called Maricopa. So
All right,
I had no idea. All I saw were white and brown houses with orange roofs.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't know the difference between Scottsdale and Apache Junction. It all looked the same to me.
Right. Yeah, that kind of does look the same.
So I ended up on Maricopa, and the week I closed on my house, the Arizona Republic had a big article saying home prices predicted to flatten. Well, they didn't flatten; they tumbled.
Well, yeah, they just
So it went from a great deal to a terrible deal, and I just didn't leave. And the bank would call me up and go, do you want to keep the house? And I go, yeah. And they go, well, good, because nobody else wants it. And it took me a while, and I worked out a deal with the bank, and now it's a great deal again.
Yeah.
And people go, do you like it? I go, look, I got a pool, a pit bull, and a Porsche. So I don't really, I
you got
garage.
three
You're batting 1,000 on that one. That's a
I'm
good
living the
deal.
American dream.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So
That's
my
funny.
dog is bigger than my car. Everything is fine.
Fair enough.
That's perfect.
That's when you know that you're a rich man, when your
Right.
dog is bigger than your
And then,
car.
then you landed here from Los Angeles. Now, at that point in time, when you got your house, you're established and everything, what was the spurred you on to start the school? More so
Well, I had
than
actually started school previously. Like I said, there was a club owner in town that asked. He said, we kind of need a workshop here. And
so it started from the workshop, and then it manifested.
He said, I know
Okay.
you're getting tired of touring. Why don't you do it here? I was already thinking about doing one in San Diego. I just didn't want to tour anymore. I had a daughter to raise. I don't want to get in all, but I did.
You set roots.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
so many of us do.
Yeah, I mean, if I have to stay in one more Holiday Inn in a town like Cincinnati, I think I'll go nuts. So I did it. It has been very successful. It's a lot of fun. Not only do we have the workshop, we do shows every Friday night at the Tempe Center for the Arts. I mean, if you're looking for a great night out, I know that we're all planning on doing some great stuff together to get a taste of what we'll be doing in the future. Come to the Tempe Center for the Arts every Friday night at 7:30. We do shows, sometimes with guys who've been on The Tonight Show and The Letterman Show, sometimes with these wonderful, great local acts. Tickets as low as $8.
Wow.
It's not bad
We
at
use
all.
Promo
It's
code.
great.
There's no drink minimum. And can I make it better? Can I
But
make
wait,
it
there's
better?
more.
There's more.
We do free food, and it's delicious food between 5 and 7 at the Tempe Center for the Arts with live music.
Wow.
Oh, wow. That's the
and
full package.
I'm going to make it even better.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to make it even better. There's
But wait,
no drink
more.
minimum.
No drink minimum.
Sometimes you go out to a
Yeah.
show and you walk out and you spend $100 and you don't even have a buzz.
Right.
Right.
Okay? Not that you should have a buzz, only if you're walking out.
Right.
That'll
Or
be
taking a
private.
cab,
Right.
or
Yeah,
You
take
gotta
a cab,
ride,
or
right.
a rocket. I think you can fly a rocket buzzed.
Right.
There's no laws against it if you have a rocket.
Can't drive a motorized wheelchair though.
We have you know what? There's a comic in town that has a very funny story about that, Steve Krause, because he has one. So as low as $8, you could get free food, listen to live music. There's an art gallery in the place right now. There's a pop art exhibition in the art gallery, and it's a beautiful place on the lake. $8, funny comics, best deal in town.
That is a really good deal.
That's
I mean,
a lot of culture in one place. Is what that is.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. It's a boatload of
Yeah,
culture.
that's a
It's
lot of
plus-
culture.
It's on a lake, so it has to be a boatload of culture.
Even better. Well, I have a question. We were talking about this the other day. We were talking about comedians being born versus bred. People say
Yeah.
that about salesmen. Salespeople are born; they're not bred. What's your feeling about that? Can you become funny, or are you born with a little bit of it?
All right. Well, here's my belief. Okay. Here's my belief that everyone is funny. All right. Everyone's either a little bit tiny funny or the whole lot funny, unless you're clinically depressed. Okay, or have some serious mental illness. But even then, some of those people can be quite funny, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. Everyone's a little bit funny. I don't teach funny. All right. I teach stand-up comedy, which is its own specific way of delivering humor. Just like writing a short story is its specific way of telling a story, and it's different than writing a movie.
So you deal more with the mechanics of it and not the material.
No, I deal a lot with the material.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but what do people laugh at primarily? They laugh at negativity. That's what people laugh
Sure.
at. So if you could teach someone how to express negativity in a way that is not depressing but is humorous, you kind of show them that, and there's just a lot of craft and technique to it. It's a different way of delivering humor. I've watched very funny actors try to do stand-up comedy, thinking, of course I can do stand-up comedy. I'm a funny actor, and they get on stage and it doesn't work, and
They
they
just
become very
bomb
confused
because they don't have the delivery.
because there's some real specifics to being a good stand-up comic. Now, historically, the way people have learned stand-up comedy has been totally by trial and error. But that's also how we used to find out if food was poison.
Yeah, right. Food tasters,
So
right?
yeah, so all we've done is kind of taken the concept of learning how to be a stand-up comic and moved it into the 20th and now 21st century. We have studied what works. Look, there's the pain of growth. You're an adolescent. You're going to go through pain. That's natural. Then there's the unnecessary pain. A horrible parent, bad neighbor, you get beat up all the time. That's all unnecessary. That's not needed in order to mature. It's the same thing with any art or craft. There is the necessary pain of learning your craft, learning your techniques, learning your art, and there's the unnecessary pain. And most people go up, they do a few. I've watched very funny people, man, who are like really wonderful people. Do a couple open mic nights, no one laughs. They walk over, well, I guess I'm not funny. And it kind of messes up their life forever.
Right.
Yeah,
because that was part of it.
It's got to rattle them a little bit.
Yeah.
Damage the ego a little.
Yeah, if you could avoid that alone, if I could avoid that alone, I think I've done something. But
Right.
we teach craft and technique, and craft and technique trump talent every time. Do you think Eric Clapton feels like playing every night?
Of course not.
No.
But there's nights when his craft and technique take over.
Right.
I mean, I've known great comics who were going through really difficult stuff, and they didn't feel funny. And if you hung out with them all that time, they weren't funny off stage. They were going through a divorce or financial situations. But time to do the show.
You got to bury it.
Boom! Yeah,
Yeah.
they did their thing. It's like like you guys doing your show.
Of course.
No matter what's going on, unless you can take what's going on in your life and incorporate it in an entertaining way.
Yeah, we tend to do that a lot.
Yeah. Shocking enough, I'm a pretty easy target there.
Yeah, well, when you got a seasonal flannel, what can you do?
Well, it's a lifestyle choice, my friend.
Yeah, the sleeveless for the summer, he's got it working out.
I've got to air out a little bit.
right.
Yeah, of course, my friend.
Easy, Tiger.
Yeah, but that's the thing that's really cool about it, because besides the fact, if you don't want to go on the stand-up circuit, but you just want to have some fun and even build some confidence in life, a lot of folks are just afraid to communicate with folks or stand public speak even. This is a great avenue to learn to overcome some of those fears.
I have a lot of people that take our workshop who strictly want to use it for public speaking.
It's a great idea.
I get a lot of business people. I get a lot of people who know they're funny, but they have a good job and they go, I would just like to learn how to do this so I can go out a couple nights a week and do it. But people ask me to go, how do you teach a stand-up comedy class? They go, you take an acting class and you take a writing class and you put them together, and then when the guy goes on stage, there's nobody else with him. There's no other actors. That's all it is.
Right.
If everybody accepts, almost every actor that you like, any actor worth his salt has started out in an acting workshop. Almost every writer, you have to learn your alphabet. You can't be Ernest Hemingway without knowing the alphabet.
That's a good point.
So that's all we're really doing. And some people get it quickly, some people get it slowly. Some people get it quick, then all of a sudden they hit a snag in the road a little further down. The guy who seems like he's never going to get it. The people asked me to go, last night someone asked me to go, can you just tell someone sucks? I go, yeah, and first of all, I couldn't do this job if I thought that way.
Right.
Okay? Because there would be, because already I've got a bias.
Right.
So I try to eliminate my biases about comics, what comedy I like, what comedy I don't like, blah, blah. I eliminate all that. I eliminate that bias as well. And then, I'll tell you, I have seen people that everyone went, this guy's not funny, this guy's not good, and I've seen them become good. And I read an article. I read Val Kilmer, who is an old neighbor of ours.
A Chatsworth, California guy too.
Was being interviewed one time, and they were asking about acting. They go, do some people just have it and they don't have it? And he goes, I'll tell you a story. And this story really resonates. It should resonate with everybody out there that wants to be a comic or wants to be an artist and they're struggling and you don't feel like you're any good and people are saying you're not any good. This is a cool story to remember. Val Kilmer said when he was in high school, there was a kid in their acting class who was unwatchable. He was god-awful bad. When you watched him, you prayed for him to get off stage because you felt bad for him. And his name was Kevin Spacey.
Oh, God.
So he
much.
goes, Kevin was undeterred. He kept going up till he learned how to do it. And now Kevin Spacey, oddly enough, now has a much better career than Val Kilmer.
Yeah, he's got a huge movie career. He's been in movies in the last couple of years.
Yeah, Val has taken some steps back.
Yeah.
He's the way
but he's got character actor in so many ways.
Steps in circles.
Yeah, he's very eccentric.
Val's. I love Val Kilmer. Everybody loves Tombstone, but his career is kind of like a Grateful Dead dance. It's just all kind of noodly.
Well, it kind of is. I mean,
love it.
funny enough, on VH1 Classic just recently, I watched the movie The Doors, and it was back on.
Yeah.
And boy, him stepping into that
he's
role.
so good in that.
He's
That's
great
probably
in
one of
that.
his best roles in my opinion.
Before we get off kilter and everything, before you take off, I mean, folks are chomping at the bit, I'm sure, right now, to find find out resources, contact, phone number, everything, because bottom line, this is something that can change you. And I like the public speaking angle too, because a lot of folks lack that confidence where you can't eyeball and you're just not confident. But this will give you confidence because it just kind of thrusts you out there, and you have all the tricks.
You know, and I say that confidence will, if you have confidence, that you'll take risks, and that's where you'll find creativity. So if you want to find out about us, it's real simple. People go, "You got a comedy school?" And I go, "Yeah." And they go, "Well, how do I find out?" I go to comedyschools.com.
Very simple.
comedyschools.com. You can also call my number, and I'm the one who picks up the phone, 818-571-JOKE. 818-571-JOKE, comedyschools.com. I don't know when this will air exactly, date-wise, but we do a free intro. Listen, I do a free introductory class. People go, "Can I pay now?" I go, "Come to the free intro first and see if this works for you."
Right.
So every 5 weeks or so on a Monday night at the Tempe Center for the Arts, we do a free intro class, no obligation.
How long is it?
It goes for a couple hours. Okay. There's a break if you smoke. So, you know.
You got it all figured out, Tony.
I got it all figured out. I know everybody's bad habits.
Well, also one other great testimonial, Christopher Royer, who was on the show last week, came through the school.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
That's true.
We have him headlining at the Tempe Center for the Arts in March. You know what?
He told us.
Yeah, I don't have.
Yeah.
Okay, he told you. Good.
Yeah,
good,
we actually had him on the show last week.
Yeah, we're gonna have him back on. He's a banker
he was great.
also. I mean,
he's funny because he's a banker. It's like, come on, that's just a joke waiting to happen.
You know, I think that he's a comic who happens to be a banker.
There you go.
He's a banker on the side.
Fair
there
enough.
you go. That's his backup gig, I guess.
Yeah, backup gig.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's funny because he's a very kind of calm and reserved guy, but then you put a microphone in his hand, and he's like a
That's
different
what I was saying.
guy.
Yeah, I was saying to him off mic exactly.
Right.
Once that's the switch flips.
Yeah,
and he
big
just
time.
goes.
We love him. You know what? And there's so many guys like him in town. This is, like I said, it's a great local comedy scene. Right now, the best place you can see these guys, in my estimation, although there's a lot of good clubs in town, is the Tempe Center for the Arts on Friday nights. I don't know if I'm tipping anything here. We're talking about doing some stuff together, and we're really going to we're even going to open up and expand the scene even further with you guys.
That's right.
With a lot of great shows around town.
It's going to be a lot of fun because besides that, people need a laugh nowadays. There's a lot that folks need to get away from kind of the doldrums because, you know, that's still a tough economy. There's a lot of people hurt now.
It's like I said earlier, it's road rage reducer. That's
and
what
a
it
lot
is.
of folks coming together.
Really,
I like
I
that.
literally was driving in traffic on the way down here and laughing my butt off, and I'm thinking if I wasn't laughing, I'd be yelling at the guy in front of me.
Well, I was laughing because I'd yelled at the guy.
Fair enough.
And
Okay.
he went, "Ah!" And I go, "I won."
Tony, one more time with the digits and how they can reach you because we're up against the break.
Anybody who wants to check out what we do, go to comedyschools.com. That's comedyschools.com or call 818-571-JOKE.
And also, you're going to hear Tony plenty more. So and he's going to be a kind of a fixture here on Wild Jokers Radio, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah,
I think this is
great.
fantastic.
I need the education more than anybody.
Yeah, that's for sure.
You're listening to Wild Jokers here on 24/7 Comedy Radio for Phoenix. It's funny, 1260 and 96.1 FM. We'll be right back.
Autobahn Mortgage, 602-980-LOAN. That's 602-980-5626. Call Autobahn Mortgage for all your commercial and residential mortgage needs. We are friendly, fast, and efficient. 602-980-LOAN. You can also see us on the internet, www.autobahnmortgage.com. Call us today, 602-980-LOAN, 602-980-5626.
Hey guys, this is Stacy Grandal, aka Boss Lady, coming at you from the Man Spot here in Old Town Scottsdale, where men stay men and women are allowed. Yes, I said allowed. This is a place created for guys. So come kick off Valentine's Day with us. Just kidding, I meant Blue Ball Month. Mention Blue Ball specials and Wild Jokers. Give us a call, 480-686-8538, and do check out our menu because it's full of laughs. Simplicity Simple Skincare.com. Again, 480-686-8538, and stay manly, man.
And it's Orangutan Home Services, featuring heating, air conditioning, home security, plumbing, and much, much more. Call them today, 602-906-0111. Orangutan Home Services, 602-906-0111. Call us today.
And we're here at Orangutan Home Services. If you need anything repaired, serviced, replaced on your home, these are the guys to call, 602-906-0111. And I'm here with Jordy. So, Jordy, what do you have for us today?
All right, Brad, what we got for you today is summer's right around the corner. There's going to be a 100-degree day here shortly. Call in today, mention the code BRAD, and tell us when you believe the first 100-degree day is going to be. And just by calling in, we're going to give you a free 1-year maintenance program. And if you actually guess the right day, you're going to be entered into our free air conditioning giveaway. And we're going to be giving a high-efficiency unit away to the person that guesses the first day for 100 degrees. So let's get out of the hot and get into the cold.
Wow, a free air conditioner if you guess the first 100-degree day. So you're going to take and do like a raffle kind of situation?
We're going to do a raffle because I'm sure there'll be more than one person going in that. And I don't think, Brad, you want to pay for $10,000 units and put about 10 of them out there. But we're going to go ahead and do one. And we're going to also sponsor with our Lennox Lennox International, which they're going to go ahead and give the unit, and we're going to go ahead and give the labor, and that's with that partnership, you can't beat it. And we're going to put the maintenance program on top, and all we ask is go tell your friends of what a great job we did and how cold it is in your house.
Well, we know how it is in the Valley of the Sun. It's definitely hot here in the summer. Free air conditioning unit. Enter today. Call 602-906-0111. Make sure you mention that you want to be entered into the raffle for the free air conditioning unit, and also make sure you give the first 100-degree day. So guess the first 100-degree day, and you could win an air conditioning unit from Orangutan Home Services. That is a humongously generous offer. Thank you so much, Jordy. We really appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Brad.
Welcome back to the Wild Jokers here on 24/7 Comedy Radio for Phoenix. It is Funny 1260, 96.1 FM. I'm Len, he's Brad, and it is time to beat the street. Brad, this is where you always shine on the show. So, Brad, what is the beat on the street today?
You're so funny. I always shine on the show. Okay, then. This one's actually kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
This is a little heart-wrenching story for you.
No.
So there's a state park called the Cumberland Mountain State Park.
Sounds lovely.
Yeah, and they have a three-legged deer. It was originally a four-legged deer. It wasn't born with three legs.
How'd
like
it lose
some
its
animals.
leg?
I'm not really sure. I think that it actually
It
got
didn't say
hurt.
in the story? Oh.
No, I think it got hurt and then it got infected.
All right, I got a question.
Yeah.
Question. You're from the state of Michigan where
Correct.
there's a lot of hunters.
Right. Venison
Now,
is very good.
I know it's very good. It's very
Right.
tasty. I love animals, though, too. I'm somewhere on the fence on this. But
You
a
got
three-legged
chickens
deer.
for crying out loud.
Well, of course. I will rescue anything. But a three-legged deer, this is kind of a weird story to me in this aspect because in Michigan or in the Midwest, wherever, there's such an overpopulation of deer. I'm amazed they rescued the deer and did an amputation.
Well,
That's the first thing
they
that's
did one
striking me.
better. Not only they rescued, they nicknamed him Tripod.
That is just bad.
Yeah, right. That's like one of my old nicknames.
Well, stop it.
Yeah, right.
This is a
It's
PG
a family show.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is. This is a PG show, Brad. Stop it. But what compelled these folks? I mean, it's a very sweet story. It's actually a very heartfelt story for our show, which is quite unusual. But what is the moral of the story? What is up with Tripod?
Well, basically what happened with Tripod, the poor thing got stuck out on one of their little ponds that have been frozen over and fell in.
Oh, no.
So
did it die?
No. A couple of the rangers saw it happen, and they literally got into like a mini boat kind of gizmo-y thing.
So they risked their lives for old Tripod.
They literally risked their lives. They went out and they did a little ice breaking and broke the ice enough so the Tripod could get back to shore.
This is a deer that has 9 lives. I think in a former life it was a cat.
I'm going to agree with that.
Perhaps.
Yes.
What do you have next on the beat on the street there,
Okay.
Brad?
All right. Next story. We're going to move over to Pelican Rapid, Minnesota.
That sounds like a tranquil place.
Yeah, it's actually well known for ice fishing.
Okay. Well, I think most of Minnesota is. It is kind of in that
Yeah,
frozen.
or as they call it, Minnesota.
Minnesota, don't you know?
Minnesota,
As
yeah.
so many folks from Minnesota say, Minnesota, don't
right.
you know?
It's kind of like southern Canada.
It
in
kind
some-
of
in
is.
some yeah.
It's the basement
Yeah.
of Canada.
Anyway, so ice fishermen, they're out there on the ice and they have their little shanties. And
I've seen that on Grumpy Old Men.
Yeah,
you remember in Grumpy Old
right.
Men they actually
There
showcased
you
ice
go.
fishing.
Okay, see, there you go. That's a good visual.
Well, because I'm a kid from the Southwest,
Right.
I've never lived really in snow other than when I was in Prescott.
It's
for
funny
a
that
period of time.
I'm the one of the two of us that's been ice fishing. That's kind
Well,
of
you're
funny.
from Michigan.
So
Go
what?
figure.
You're the one that lives on a farm. For
I've
crying out loud.
lived in Arizona and I've lived in Southern California. Okay, so
well.
there's not a lot of ice fishing going on in this neck of the woods.
Well, I
just
lived
to
in the
let you know.
suburbs, man. We just happen to have a lot of lakes.
Well, yeah, it's the area. So ice fishing. So you dig a hole.
You dig a
sit on
hole,
ice, and the
you
ice has
drop
got to
it-
be
yeah.
really thick.
Oh, yeah,
obviously.
it's got to be thick, right? So anyway,
You know, these guys are sitting out there in little shanties. You know, they're drinking.
What's
their
a
beer.
shanty?
A mini house or a shack.
It's a shack.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't make me get out
No.
my dictionary here.
Well, you're the thesaurus now today.
It's got a
Brad.
schwa in it.
Okay. I have no clue what this is new lingo.
That's the
to me.
upside down E that they show in the dictionary.
Gotcha.
Schwa. Anyway.
Thank you.
This is an
See, I'm
educational
learning more and
program.
more this morning.
Yeah,
For a
right.
Saturday morning, I'm really doing well
Well,
when it
I'm
comes to my
educated.
Yes,
What are you gonna
you're
do?
giving me a lot of this.
Go
So,
Spartans.
okay, so in this area, they're known for ice fishing. So all this ice fishing is going on. What else is
Right.
going
So
on
these
there?
guys, you know, these guys are hanging out in their shanties, and they really don't do much. There's not a lot of social events and stuff like that. So this one guy decided he's going to come up with like a 4 times the size normal shanty and turn it into a little bar. So
it's a ice fishing shack bar.
it's actually called the Hillbilly Ice Hole.
That is actually, I like that name a lot. It's got
And
a nice ring
actually,
to
the
it.
funny part is there's actually holes inside you can dip your rod in and pull a fish out.
I am not going to even respond.
I almost
to
couldn't get that out.
Yeah. Well, here's
Yeah.
the thing. There is a certain amount of risk, danger, and liability to this bar, besides the fact you're having adult beverages, but besides the fact you're putting holes in ice where you can drop. Has anybody thought about the danger aspect of this? Or in ice
Well,
fishing,
these guys drill the
it very
holes. They
small?
know how thick the ice is.
Well, when I
yeah.
saw it on Grumpy Old Men,
Yeah.
the hole was actually rather substantial. You could fall in. It looked like.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, sometimes they'll make them that big.
Have
Depends
you
on
ever
what
ice fished?
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
Have
yeah.
you really?
Yes.
How big's the hole? I mean, like
The
a
one
body
we
could go
did-
through, correct?
No, we didn't make one that big.
How big?
Because we weren't spending
And what
the
kind
night.
of fish do you fish for ice fishing?
We-
What's in there?
you know-
Trout?
Yeah,
Bass?
yeah, but
There's
not-
bass?
I caught a little bass that was like half dead.
You caught a little bass, huh?
Oh boy, I'm not touching that. But this ice hole place, this Hillbilly Ice Hole, it's a 16 by 20 shanty, so it's not that big. They and it actually, you're gonna love this. It actually has an ATM.
Well, this is the one thing that I'm scratching my head. So there's this mobile shack sitting on ice. Now, when spring,
It's kind of like a mobile home without a floor.
well, okay, a mobile home is a mobile home, yes, kind of,
Right.
sort of.
But
once
this is
you
like
put,
a quarter the size of a mobile home with no floor.
okay, so it's got no floor, it's got no foundation, but what about all the weight on the ice? I
It can handle it.
Can ice
Yeah.
in the Midwest
Yes.
actually? You can put a house on
That
it.
sucker freezes so thick that you could drive cars on it and all that cool stuff.
Really?
Oh yeah. Every
So
year
there's-
some idiot always tries to drive on it when it's too thin and puts the car. in
But
the
also,
water.
I have one other element of just a question. An element of danger is coming to my mind. Once you push the envelope a little bit, you get into maybe March, perhaps April, and
Oh
it
yeah,
starts warming
they
up.
pull up stakes in March.
Oh, in March.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, what if
yeah.
it's a warm March?
well,
What if all of a sudden the shanty
They
goes
bust
into the
out
water?
the Farmer's Almanac, man.
Oh Lord!
But I'll tell you what.
Is that actually correct?
Well, it depends. It's pretty close on some stuff. But what's interesting is that I really wouldn't be worried about falling in the ice. I'd be more worried about their specialty. It's called a minnow shot.
Oh, and what is that?
It has an actual live minnow in the shot.
So you're drinking out of a fish?
You're drinking a shot glass with a minnow in it and some liquor.
Oh, okay. I thought you
Yeah.
were actually.
No, not
minnows
just the
are, minnows
fish.
are small, right?
Minnows are small.
Okay.
Yeah, they're like bait fish.
It's funny. You're talking to the good old boy over here, and I'm like, the minnows I'm not getting in ice fishing. I
Minnows
guess
are about the size of your little goldfish you used to have.
I
when you
think
were
I'm
a
the
kid.
desert outdoorsman you're talking to
You're
because
killing me.
I'm honestly
You're
I'm
killing me. This is
clueless on
funny.
this stuff.
This is
No,
good
you
stuff.
got me on one
Right.
because normally I know everything about sports. I don't know a clue
Right,
about
I
ice
can't
fishing.
believe we're talking about fishing, and I know more than you do about it.
That is kind of shocking.
I mean, I have my own tackle
I know
box
my,
even.
I have my own tackle box too, but but I'm used to lake fishing here at Lynx Lake and Goldwater Lake up north. I'm not
Right.
used to sitting on an iceberg having a cocktail. That sounds. I don't mind having the cocktail aspect of this, but honestly, it sounds quite cold. I'd rather be actually in kind of a warm environment.
Well, you
than
never have to
having
worry
a-
about your beer being too cold.
Well, that's true. It's always going to be ice
It's
cold,
gonna be
you-
perfect.
and you'll
It's
never
gonna be
have a
that
shortage
perfect
of
temperature.
ice for your cocktail
No,
either.
you're good with that too.
Well, that sounds like a kind of a neat idea. And what town in Minnesota was that again?
It's called Pelican Rapid.
Sounds lovely.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It almost
is.
sounds like it should be like where Newhart was filmed, even though that was supposed to be in New England. But it kind of has that kind of vibe to me,
I don't know. It sounds more like a movie set location.
like for Grumpy Old Men.
Oh, I was
I
going to say
keep
more
referring
for
to that.
more for like Psycho or one of those like.
Oh,
horror
nice.
films,
I'm all
small towns.
See, I'm talking about like just You're talking about thriller films or horror films, and I'm talking about tranquility and niceness.
Right.
Well, but it sounds like a heck of a concept. But I just would advise, don't go there in March. I'd go leave that little shack probably in February. Okay.
Fair enough.
And you have one more story, and this actually
This one's kind of
You
funny.
let the cat out of the bag on this one because it's so retro.
Yeah, well, I don't know how many of your sister might have had the little Barbie dream truck. It was kind of like a little Jeep that was pink that was, I think some of them were motorized. Anyway, a group of guys in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, I think it was 8 of them actually, decided they were going to try and do the Barbie dream car downhill. So, just so you can imagine, these guys are full gear. We're talking helmets, goggles,
All right.
full racing
There's
suits,
a question
pads,
that
everything.
alrea's got me here. I mean, I'm
Right.
glad they pad up
Right.
because it's quite a hill. I saw the video of them doing this.
Right.
It's like Bandini Mountain. It's
It's
tall.
awesome. It's real tall and steep.
But
I mean, only
how
two of them made it down.
the heck did they find Barbie cars that are retro? Were they newer ones or older ones? I didn't get a good eye on that.
You know, they look like they were. I
Newer,
don't know.
like they
I
went to
can't say I'm
Target or
very
something?
familiar with the model years on the Barbie cars.
because I think
Ask me
about
about Corvettes. That can
See,
help you.
I think about the Barbie car. I think about like 1978 or something. I'm not thinking about modern day Barbie.
Well, yeah, but how much has the Jeep really changed?
It has
that's-
quite a bit.
well,
Well,
not-
you go to the toy
I'm
stores
not
nowadays.
I'm just saying, like, the general design of the Jeep really hasn't changed that much.
I don't know, but I'm talking about toys here, my friend.
Yeah, yeah.
And here's the problem with this: most toys that were metal are now hard plastic.
Well, these were plastic, so
See, and
these
that's
couldn't have been that
ridiculous.
old.
That's what they think. Metal would have been.
Well, one of
cooler.
them had the wheel come off.
I know exactly. That's not. Is that called progress? No. In the '70s, those vehicles would have held
Personally,
up.
I think
so
this is
they're
called
new.
drinking too much.
Oh, I would have done it.
I'm
I
sure,
would
of
totally.
course.
Well, yeah, with
Yeah.
with a cocktail in
A couple
hand.
of
course.
kegs and you're good.
A couple of kegs. I'll be at the bathroom more so than anything once you break that seal. But they're going down the hill in the band.
seal.
Well,
Oh, that's a whole nother story.
they're going down the hill, this Bandini Mountain in a pink Barbie car. Why didn't they go? If they're going retro, let's say hypothetically, why didn't they get? Remember they had Chips. Remember the TV show about the California Highway Patrol?
Of course,
Chips?
Punch and John.
I would have
man.
been. I had one of those growing up. And I could go down that Bandini Mountain that way. At least
Yeah.
I'd feel more testosterone. I feel more masculine about myself.
Well,
being
I was
being a
kinda
Barbie mobile rather, Barbie.
Yeah, Bambi.
We talked about the tripod deer earlier.
Yeah,
in
that's a good
Beat Down the
visual.
Street. That's another thing. So, but anyways, but being in the Barbie vehicle rather,
Right.
I don't know. I couldn't man it up.
I don't know
think
why
so.
they didn't decorate them. Like spray paint the sides of them. Like. So, how
Why don't
people
you just
put,
go
like,
to Demolition
threats on-
Derby at
That's
this
what I'm
point? I'm
saying.
just
Make
saying,
them
you know
Demolition
what?
Derby style. That's kind of what it looked like. It was kind of like the Chinese downhill meets the Demolition Derby.
I remember, those plastic vehicles. They had the Bigfoot back in the day.
That's
the,
right.
The Chips Mobile. They had. Did you ever have
They had a G.I. Joe one too, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
G.I. Joe. Who's your favorite G.I. Joe character?
Ooh,
Snake Eyes.
probably.
Snake Eyes.
Everybody
Has to
likes
be.
Snake Eyes.
Oh, he was
just a badass.
Yeah,
Can
totally.
I say that on radio?
Oh, yeah, you're
Okay,
fine.
just
yeah,
making
'cause
sure.
we're talking about a donkey,
Okay.
right?
Right. That's
of
right.
course. Anything else on your beat on the street? I think we're talking complete nonsense this morning here on Wild Jokers.
Well, after the wheels came off on the Barbie thing, I think actually 2 guys made it down, and only 1 guy actually made it the furthest.
Okay, so at least somebody completed the actual course.
Yes, there was a winner. They didn't give his name. He wasn't.
See, he's ashamed. I
Right.
told
Yeah,
you.
right. Well,
He wants no part of it.
Right. Well,
I would want no part of
yeah,
it.
it was the guy in the pink Jeep that won.
Everybody was in a pink
Right.
Jeep. See, I would stand out. I'd try to find something different just to stand
See,
out.
I would just bet on the pink Jeep and call it a day.
Well, thank you for the beat on the street there, Brad. But you know what? We have to. We're in the giving spirit because everybody's a winner here on Wild Jokers. Everybody is
Something like that.
Well, caller number 2 right now. We have Renaissance Festival tickets that are going on.
Huzzah.
Yes, the big turkey leg and a big pitcher of some suds. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
So caller number 2 right now at 602-303-5869. We will hook you up for 2 tickets, which is actually a ticket value of $22 per
piece,
ticket.
yep.
So you're saving $44.
Right.
And that's hey, in a tough economy, that's a good thing going. So once again,
would
caller
agree.
number 2 at 602-303-5869 just for being lucky. Caller number 2. You have to be second because I feel sorry for second place, so we're giving it to the second place.
Wait a minute. Why do you feel sorry for second place?
Because you know what? They're always the first place losers, the old saying goes.
Yeah.
So
I
they're
guess.
not a loser in this case.
It's the first loser is second place. Is that what you're saying?
Right. I just
Yeah.
picked number 2 just randomly.
Okay.
Why not?
All right.
We're the Wild Jokers,
You
of
just like to
course.
sit down when you go to the bathroom.
No. What? It depends what I'm doing.
Why
do you poke at me like this?
Yeah, it's easy.
I know. All right. Also, we got to give some shout-outs and everything. Of course, Tony from the comedy
Tony,
school.
oh,
Tony.
He's great.
He's our new
great.
partner in crime. We
Right.
got definitely thank him. Jordy and the boys at Orangutan
Yep,
Home
Jordy
Services.
helped us out. Joe was in for a special visit. All the guys over there.
And just they are saving you. And we're having our big contest and a launch. I want to talk about this here real quick before we have to take off. Whoever can guess the first 100-degree contest.
That's the 100-degree day giveaway.
And Orangutan Home Services is going to give you an air conditioning unit. Imagine that. I mean, that's savings. That's over $1,000 in value. I mean, Brad, Jordy has lost his mind.
Well, we already knew that.
Well, he's a crazy
working
man.
with us.
We love him to death, but I mean, he's a great dude.
Yeah.
But I mean, he is in the charity mood coming this spring. Look at that.
That's how they roll over there, though. I mean, when you've been doing
they're
it for
good
20
guys.
years, you can take care of people. Like
They're
they
great
do.
guys.
They
So
really are.
also, besides the giveaway right now, also I did announce the Renaissance tickets we're going to be giving away next week. Next week. We're
and
also,
by the way, it started already. It's every weekend from now through the end of March.
Yeah.
Just so people know, in case you were wondering when it's coming on.
And I said, the second caller and our engineer's running around right now, so I don't know if we got that. I don't even have the thumbs up because we've been having some technical issues. But at 602-303-5869, caller number 2 right now, we'll hook you up. Also, one other thing, we're going to get to the Larry the Cable Guy interview next week. We were actually having some engineering issues with some sound, so we could not get it. And if it's not in pristine shape, we don't do it.
That's right.
We are a first-class outfit, but we do have it. But it was just for some
I don't
reason.
know if I'd say first class, but
Well, we're close. But yeah, you look at modern technology and computers we're relying on, and sometimes they lock up.
cheers.
That's kind of true.
happens.
It is. Yeah,
Yeah.
at least we can fess up.
Right. At least it's not a reel-to-reel.
Yeah, it can be worse.
Right.
I mean, the patchwork. Imagine engineers back in the day, and I remember them. I mean, they're
yeah.
running around panicking.
Razor
and the whole
blades
bit.
and tape.
I know, it's horrible. Also, thewildjokers.com. If you missed any part of our show or want to contact us, booking engagements, public speaking, you name it, we do it. We're a one-stop shop of PR and
Or
promotion.
you want to sponsor us.
Oh, you never know. I mean, hey, we got to pander in every single way possible, but check out thewildjokers.com. Of course, you can also lock it in at our home radio station page, of course, funny1260am.com. That's funny1260am.com. Well, next week is going to be an action-packed show. We're going to have a lot of different giveaways. Carlos Mencia tickets. He's going to be appearing live. Wild Horse Pass, February 28th. And we'll have tickets next week for his show, as well as maybe we'll hook you up with a couple more pair of Renaissance tickets. For Brad, I'm Len. You're listening to The Wild Jokers here on Comedy 24/7 Radio for Phoenix. It's Funny 1260, 96.1 FM. Have a great Saturday.